We're starting a little later today. I had to get through a couple things. I apologize for that. Let me just make sure the YouTube's up, then we will officially begin. What's up, everybody? Sorry we're a half hour late today. We had to push back the start time. Happy Thursday. It is April the 9th in this year of our quarantine Lord 2020. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good morrow, wherever it is when this is coming to you. How we doing? I hope you're all well. I hope you're all having a good day. Yesterday was kind of lame on a number of levels. I'm hoping for a better day today. And I got to tell you guys to start out, the vote shaming has already begun for 2020. It's already started. But it has become more extensive. And we're going to go through this. So I tweeted this out yesterday. I'm not voting for Joe Biden, and I'm not voting for Donald Trump. I have a cat. I already spend enough time checking a box for a piece of shit. I don't need to do it in November. I do that enough. Right, Lucy? Right? So I tweeted this out, and I got a lot of responses. Some were in favor of, some were not. And some were telling me that, well, I am voting for Trump, or that I'm not voting. And by not voting, I'm voting for Trump. Now, first of all, I never said in this tweet, I never said I'm not voting. I just said I'm not voting for Biden and I'm not voting for Trump. There are more than those two choices on the ballot, and there will be more than those two choices on the ballot in November. But we'll get to that part a little bit later. Let's just get back to the tweet there and people saying that, well, if you don't vote blue no matter who, you are voting for Trump. That is a vote for Trump. Here I thought I was voting for someone else, but apparently I'm voting for Trump. We heard this thing in 2016. We've heard it, well, pretty much forever. You know, people like to forget that the Electoral College is a thing. They like to forget that in 2016, for instance, Hillary Clinton actually got more votes than Donald Trump. And she's not in the White House. Why? Because of this bogus, old, archaic system to benefit slave and landowners. That's why. But it's more fun to blame comedians making jokes on Twitter. It's more fun to say it's their fault when Donald Trump wins again. So people are telling me that my vote, if I don't vote for Donald Trump and I don't vote for Joe Biden, I am somehow voting for Donald Trump anyway. Here's the interesting part. Along this thread, some people have actually used it the other way. What do you mean, Ron? Well, they're saying that by not voting for Joe Biden and by not voting for Donald Trump, I'm voting for Joe Biden. How are they justifying that, Ron? Well, here, I'll tell you. I live in California, the progressive utopia that cannot pass rent control. That's where I live, California. California is a decidedly blue state. It's going to go, no matter what I do. No matter what I do on YouTube, and no matter what I do in the ballot box in November, which again, I'm not voting for Trump, I'm not voting for Biden. No matter what I do, California is going to go blue. It is going to be a blue state. So others were saying, well, by not voting, California is a decidedly blue state. If you don't vote for the opposition to the Democrat, which the strongest opposition to the Democrat would be Donald Trump, then you are voting for Biden. So apparently, by not voting Donald Trump or voting Joe Biden, I'm voting for Donald Trump. And by not voting for Donald Trump and not voting for Joe Biden, I'm voting for Joe Biden. So I guess now whenever someone asks me, Ron, who are you voting for? I have to say, I'm voting for both candidates, apparently. I'm voting for both of them. Whichever one you don't like, I'm voting for the other one, apparently. Because Biden supporters tell me I'm voting for Trump. Trump supporters tell me I'm voting for Biden. Here I thought I was voting for neither. Here I thought I was voting for a better tomorrow to try to get a marginalized party to the 5% threshold so they qualify for federal funding. So hopefully in the future, we have viable alternatives to this two-party duopoly that has the same owners and genuflects to the altar of Wall Street. Here I thought I was voting against all that, and wasn't voting for an alleged rapist or an alleged rapist. Here, this whole time, I was voting for both of them. And by not voting at all, I'm also voting for both of them too. Because by not voting at all, I'm complicit in the status quo, says the Biden supporter. So I'm voting for Trump. And by not voting at all, I'm essentially voting for Biden because I live in a decidedly blue state. No matter what I do, I am voting for both candidates unless I vote for one or the other. It almost sounds like the whole thing is a bunch of bullshit. Isn't that incredible? Now, here's something else I want to highlight. Now, somebody said this in the thread, and I'm not going to go through all the things in the thread, but because it's long. But somebody said, well, by not voting for the lesser of two evils, by not picking the lesser alleged rapist, you are expressing white male privilege. That is white male privilege. And I thought about that. I'm like, well, gee, okay, let me think about that. Is that the case? Let me kind of reflect on that. I'm a human being. I am not a perfect person. I'm far from it. I have my own blind spots like everyone else. I never claimed to be perfect. I'm certainly not. Is that white male privilege by not voting for Joe Biden or Donald Trump? Well, getting back to the whole, I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet, which I don't. I'm not voting for Donald Trump. I'm not voting for Joe Biden. I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet, but one of the candidates I'm strongly considering is Gloria La-Riva. This person. That's the socialist candidate. That's the peace and freedom candidate. Gloria La-Riva. I'm considering voting for her. An activist, a female activist who's been fighting for minority issues her entire career. Look at all these white males here. Look at all of them. Look at all these white males on this website. Look at this. Only in the United States, can, looking at two plutocrats, right-wing plutocrats, white men, both with racist histories, one's an open segregationist, looking at those two choices and saying no thank you, and instead voting for a female activist is somehow white male privilege. That is somehow white male privilege. I hope I get to meet Gloria in person, which, by the way, some of you guys have requested I have Gloria on the show. She's welcome on the show anytime. I'd love to have her. But if I meet her in person or e-meet her online, I will say, look, Gloria, I would love to vote for you. I like a lot of what you have to say, and I'd love to vote for you, but I can't because that's just white male privilege. And after I recover from the punch in the throat I deserved, no, she wouldn't do that. I don't think she'd do that. But you see what an awful thing that is to say, by the way. And by the way, you can say it to me all you want. Call it whatever you want. Call me whatever names you want. But to say that if you don't vote for Donald Trump or Joe Biden is privilege of any kind, white male privilege, whatever, you are erasing all of the people of color, all of the black people, all of the activists who also stand up against the two-party duopoly. You go against any third-party activist, any person of color in the Greens, any person of color in the Peace and Freedom Party. You are erasing all of those people by making statements like that. Now, you can disagree with strategy. That's fine. You can say, I disagree with the strategy. That's fine. But man, what kind of world do we live in? So let's summarize. Let's summarize what we have so far. By not voting for Joe Biden or Donald Trump, you are, in essence, at least if you live in California, voting for both Donald Trump and Joe Biden. By voting for neither of them, you vote for both of them, depending on who you talk to. And if you want to vote for a female activist who has stood up for minority issues her entire life, instead of voting for two plutocrat racist white men, that's white male privilege. You can't do that. That's privilege. Wow. What a system, you guys. What an awesome system that is. Hey, Gavin Newsom, tell me again how complicated ranked choice voting is. Tell me again how it's, because that thing I just described, that doesn't sound complicated at all. Imagine explaining that to a stranger who's unfamiliar with our system in the United States. Hey, I think instead of voting for these two old, disconnected, racist white men, I'm going to vote for this female activist over here. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's privilege. What? No, that's privilege. You have to vote for one of these two manure piles over here. It's privilege if you do anything else. That you can't vote for that woman. Don't do that. Don't do that. Hey, I don't want to vote for either one of these guys. Well, then you vote for both of them. You're voting for both of them, depending on who you ask. Whoever this person doesn't like, you're voting against that. Like whoever you talk to, whoever they like, you're voting for the other person, whether you realize it or not. Sounds like a great system. But according to Gavin Newsom, we can't have ranked choice voting, which is where you rank your choices. If your first choice is Gloria La Riva, you put her first. And whoever your second choice is, you put them second. If we had ranked choice voting, that would eliminate all of this, by the way. It would eliminate the spoiler argument. It would eliminate, which, by the way, once again, electoral college, gerrymandering, super delegates, election integrity issues, voter suppression. Those are the things that are infecting our pristine elections, not people who don't want to choose between rapists. Alleged rapists, not people who don't want to choose between those two utterly disgusting choices, between two more right-wing plutocrats. But you know, ranked choice voting is too complicated. That's what they'll tell you. We can't possibly have ranked choice voting. It's not complicated. They just don't want us to have it because it threatens their power structure. Because they can go on indefinitely having us fight against each other by shaming people who don't want to choose between two alleged rapists and instead want a viable alternative. But, whichever candidate you like, if that person is not in the White House come November, if you like one of the two abysmal candidates, if that person is not in the White House come November, remember whose fault it is. It is the fault of comedians on Twitter. It's our fault. It's definitely our fault, especially if you're like me and you voted for neither candidate and in turn voted for both of them. And if you are like me, by the way, and someone asks you, I encourage you to say, I'm voting for both of them. If someone's like, who are you voting for, Donald Trump or Joe Biden? Say, well, I'm voting for both. And if they're like, how is that possible? You can say, well, I'm voting for neither, so apparently I'm voting for both. And then they'll say, that does not make any sense. And then you can engage in a conversation about how broken and ridiculous our election system is. And by broken, I mean it's working the way the plutocrats want it to. All right. November, baby. Who's stoked? Joe, you can end the clip there. All right. So there you go. And we're going to be dealing with all that throughout November. Those of you who are kind of in my camp, we're going to be dealing with all that throughout November. So I mentioned Gavin Newsom, who is the governor of California, and he received some praise recently. So first, everybody was wetting themselves over Cuomo because he did that thing for hospitals in New York. Meanwhile, he had already cut Medicaid in New York. He had cut Medicaid. He had screwed over the homeless. He is not a friend of the working class. He is not a friend to New York. But he did some things for the hospital bed. So now everyone's wetting themselves saying he should be president. Gavin Newsom did an order getting masks around, which is good. Of course, I want people in hospitals to have their masks, obviously. But he basically just did his job. He did the bare minimum. He did his job. And everyone was wetting themselves going, oh, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom. He's so it's just whenever a governor does something not terrible and they do essentially their job, bunch of people on Twitter wet themselves and demand that that person become president. So who knows who the flavor of the week will be next week. Eventually it'll get to the point where it's like, oh man, the governor of North Dakota wiped his ass today. He should be president. I actually don't know if the governor of North Dakota is male or female. I shouldn't assume. I don't know off the top of my head who that is. But anyway, you get the idea. It's an analogy. So this is why we don't need to watch the video, but this is why everyone was excited about Gavin Newsom over here. And Newsom for President Newsom was trending. Everyone was excited. The flavor of the week was Newsom. The flavor of last week was Cuomo. Who knows who the flavor of next week will be? Any governor that kind of remotely does their job. Everyone will get all excited. Oh, and here's something fun. What was Gavin Newsom doing simultaneously while that was going on? Well, here, I'll tell you. Here's another thing Gavin Newsom did. Interesting, though, no one talked about this part. What the frack? This is from Angelica Duenas, who was on the show yesterday. Big fan of Angelica. What the frack? Gavin Newsom quietly approved 24 fracking permits. He approved 24 new fracking permits in the state of California while everybody was saying how he should be president. Now, no one talked about this. No one talked about this. Here, let's go to the website, see what it says here. Oh, it's just a, oh, here, let's see. Here's a, okay, so here's actually, we'll go through this, you can sign this petition here. Let's go through this. This is from 350. Tell Governor Newsom stop permitting another public health crisis. While Californians struggle to protect their families during the coronavirus crisis, on the same day the New York legislator and Governor Cuomo moved to ban fracking, the Newsom administration just quietly approved 24 new fracking permits that will further threaten public health. We demand that Governor Newsom and oil and gas supervisor UDOC Joe Nook, I have no idea how to pronounce that, I'm sure I mispronounced it, to reverse the recent decision to issue fracking permits, halt the issuance of all additional oil and gas extraction permits, and prioritize protecting public health. So you can go ahead and sign this petition. It's over at actionnetwork.org. Tell Governor Newsom stop permitting another public health crisis. And I'll make sure I drop that link in the chat before the end of the show, and it'll be in the clip as well. Boom. There you go. Everyone was patting him on the back when he was getting those masks out there, when he was just doing his job as governor. But he quietly approved a bunch of new fracking wells. And you didn't see that on MSNBC. You didn't see Rachel Maddow bring that part up, did you? No. Wonder why that is. All right. So, moving on. .org. So, one of the things that we do like to cover on this show is the strikes that are occurring. There are strikes occurring all across the country, which is a good thing. Amazon workers went on strike in the Staten Island warehouse. Whole Foods workers are striking. That strike is continuing. Instacart went on strike. The Shipped app, which I had never heard of until we covered it on the show earlier this week, they are going on strike. People are striking, and we need a general strike, so this is a good thing. Well, McDonald's is among the striking companies as well, and here in LA, that is growing. So check this out. This has been happening today over with Fight for 15 LA. Breaking, we're on strike in LA. Last week, one of our coworkers tested positive for coronavirus. A handful of us went on strike Sunday, demanding paid leave to self-quarantine. Striker Vero Godinez tested positive yesterday. So one of the strikers tested positive. Let's see. Let's watch this video. So they're demanding unions for all. And what they're doing is they're honking their horns and they're blocking the McDonald's drive-thru. So they're protesting in their cars because, you know, you've got to, because we're all social distancing, physical distancing and what have you. So they're protesting in their cars. Check this out. They're holding up the drive-thru. They're holding up the drive-thru. For those of you that are, maybe listening to the podcast later, you don't see it in person. Cars are protesting. There's signs on them. They're saying they're on strike, and what they're doing is they're blocking the drive-thru. Here's the video of it. Graham Elwood and I talked about it on this show yesterday, but here it is. Not a virus, not vacation. This is a strike, and they're on strike where? At over 30 stores across California. Vero Godinez, who tested positive, went on strike Sunday. She's a 56-year-old mother of 3 and a grandmother of 5 with diabetes. She worked without a mask after McDonald's had found out our coworker tested positive. This is the Fight for 15 LA saying this. But before they told us about it, now she's tested positive for coronavirus. So a 56-year-old mom who was working without a mask, they had a coworker who tested positive for the virus. They didn't tell any of the workers, and now this worker got it too. McDee's knew my coworker had tested positive, but they still had me working without a mask. Now I'm infected. I'm terrified for myself and my kids and grandkids, but I'm also angry because I would still be healthy if McDonald's thought as much about our safety as its profits. That's what Farrell has to say about this. We don't want to die, and we don't want anyone in our families to die because McDonald's is putting its profits ahead of our safety. McDonald's bottom line isn't the only thing that's essential. Our lives are too. That's a quote from Bartolomeo Perez, who organized the first strike on Sunday. Here's what they're demanding. And by the way, like all the strikes, they're demanding things that they shouldn't have to demand. They're demanding things that should just be given to them. They're demanding things that any company should just do in a situation like this, but most companies aren't doing. Why? Because of our capitalist society. When you're built for profit above all else, you have nothing built in to help people because you don't care. Because people are as expendable to you as the burgers are, as the ketchup, as the toilet paper. In fact, actually, given the shortages we're dealing with, the people might even be more expendable than the toilet paper to these corporations. They probably value toilet paper a little bit more than the lives of the people who work there. And that applies to Amazon, that applies to McDonald's, that applies to Walmart, that applies to Instacart, that applies to all of them. And the CEOs make 475 times to 1 the average worker. And on shows like this, we've been screaming about that for years. But you never hear that covered in the corporate media. They never talk about wealth inequality in this country. Which, by the way, how bad is wealth inequality in this country? It is remnant to what they had in ancient Egypt. We have pretty much surpassed the robber baron days. And in those days, by the way, people had more vacation time than we do now. So we work even more for less. That's where wealth inequality is. And now that we're amidst a pandemic, we're seeing how toxic our society is. So here's what they're demanding, which they shouldn't even have to demand. Hazard pay, masks, gloves, soap, paid sick leave to self-quarantine if exposed to the virus for all fast food workers, not just those of us the bosses choose. And sadly, as a society, we're not going to get this until we have a mass general strike. So this needs to continue, and it needs to expand to a rent strike and a general strike. I know it's been a tough week, politically in the world, and it's been a tough week for a lot of other reasons as well. And people are saying, where do we go now? What do we do next? But here's the thing. Everybody who is putting a lot of energy behind Bernie Sanders as a candidate, well, now it's time to take that energy and put it behind a cause and put it behind an initiative. And the best cause right now, a general strike. Take all that momentum we've built, put it behind a general strike, and shut this down until they put a suspension on rent, a suspension on mortgages, a suspension on payments to the banks. The banks just got trillions. They just got trillions. So the landlord shouldn't have to pay the bank, and the renter shouldn't have to pay the landlord until we get out of this mess. That's what should happen. That's what needs to happen. Oh, and by the way, some landlords are already off the hook. Some landlords get 90 days. They don't have to pay anything. Are renters seeing any of that relief? No, we're not. And that's by design. Because they're helping out the people with power. The corporations, they're getting handouts. The powers that be, they're getting handouts. It's the people who are getting left behind. So anyone that tells you, oh, we can't afford to help people during this pandemic. No, they gave trillions to the bank just by moving a decimal number. We can do it many times over. We just choose not to. And by we, I mean the powers that be. I mean our politicians. Why? Because the bulk majority of them are bought by who? By Wall Street. And that's the system. And if you think that system needs radical change, you must just be privileged. Shut up and vote for Joe Biden. Just do it. Or if you don't vote for either of them, you voted for both of them. That's a callback. Huh? There we go. So shout out to the McDonald's workers who are striking. Shout out to Fight for 15 LA for giving us this information. Here, let's watch this video. It's another video of the cars striking. Let's check it out. Yeah. Sounds like music. Beautiful. 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 That is music. That is beautiful music. And hey, guys, the way we protest right now is in cars. We got it. We got a social distance. We got a physical distance. The way we're protesting right now is in cars. And hey, especially in a place like Los Angeles, being stuck in your car and not moving very fast, that's a way of life here. All right. So really, it's just like we're in traffic, except this time we're protesting. Shout out to the striking workers at McDonald's. We stand with you, and we stand with all of the striking workers in this country. We got to strike. We got to shut it down. And I am here to be a communication vehicle while this is going on. If you are striking, if you are trying to organize a strike, and you want an information vehicle, that's the service I provide. Email me, ronplacone.com. Anything pertaining to a strike, email me. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let me see what you guys are saying. You know. I hope everyone is having a good day, by the way. Oh, and hey, if you're looking for something to do this weekend, Graham Elwood and I have another e-show. Those shows that we do, they're conducted via Zoom. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday. So Saturday, you looking for some weekend plans? How about a nice Zoom show with Graham and myself? Tickets are only $5. When you get a ticket, you'll get a link, a Zoom link delivered to your inbox about an hour before showtime. It won't be automatic. We send the link out after ticket sales have closed, and we send it to everyone who bought a ticket. And we'll send that out about an hour before showtime. You can get those tickets at my website, ronplacone.com. And it'd be great to see you guys. Doing this stream and doing those live shows has kept me sane. Because, as a comic, it has been incredibly difficult not being able to perform live. It's been rough. It has been rough. And I know musicians are feeling that. Comics are feeling that. We're all feeling that. Blank Page, what's up? Thank you for the super chat contribution. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Neither is both. Beautiful. Thank you for that, Blank Page. Thank you very much for that, Blank Page. Jason Waymuth, what's up, buddy? Ron, the Republican Party in Maine is trying to get rid of ranked choice voting. Yes, I know that. And honestly, it's been both parties, to my knowledge, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure both parties have really been trying to stand in the way of ranked choice voting. Because again, all the stuff we talked about, the first part of the stream, ranked choice voting eliminates all that stuff. All of the spoiler vote, or if you don't vote, you're voting for Trump, or if you vote third party, you're voting for Trump, or if you vote third party, you're voting for Biden. All this stuff goes away if we had ranked choice voting. Now, we still have a bunch of other problems as far as our elections are concerned. We still have election integrity. We still have all the cheating that goes on behind the scenes. We still have gerrymandering. We still have superdelegates. We still have the Electoral College. We still have all these problems. But it eliminates the whole, quote, spoiler effect that turns us against each other. Because really, it's not Republican versus Democrat. It's us versus them. It's the ruling class versus the rest of us. And we need a new game. Because the game we're currently playing, at least at the federal level electorally, is rigged. And ranked choice voting kind of changes the game a little bit. So they're fighting that tooth and nail. And they've been fighting it in Maine the whole way. But and we're going to try to talk to Lisa from Maine, one of the Greens running up in Maine. I got to follow up with them about getting her on the show. Darth Buzzkill. I love your screen name. It's not screen name, by the way. That's AIM Talk. I'm dating myself a little bit. It's a YouTube username, right? Is that what you say? Username, not screen name. Got to stop doing that. Screen name. Okay, boomer. Screen name. What? Darth Buzzkill, what's up, buddy? The ideal candidate you could create in a lab, burning his platform with Chris Christie's personality. There would be no my good friend Joe Biden. It would have been brutal, just like Marco faced. Yeah, Christie. Yeah, he dunked on Rubio big time, but everybody dunked on Rubio. Marco is who you referred to when you Marco Rubio. Everyone dunked on that guy. Trump dunked on him hard. Christie dunked on him hard. And remember, Marco Rubio is the guy that he had to cancel all of his personal appearances because he was worried people would be mean to him. He's an elected official, and he refused to face the public. Oh, and by the way, people just took it. And then when he was confronted about it, he's like, oh, you guys are just mean to me. Like he tried to do a fake tough guy thing when someone was like, why aren't you doing a town hall? He's like, oh, you guys are just so mean. And he tried to like sound tough. Like he's like, yeah, I'm not doing it. It's like, oh, you're trying to sound tough when you're basically admitting that you're a politician who's scared to be in front of people. Marco Rubio. Yeah, don't let dunking on Marco Rubio be the bar. You know what I mean? Edwin, what's up, my man? Jets just signed Kaepernick. That's awesome. That's cool. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that Kaepernick's going to be able to play again. I stand with Kaepernick. And who's the other man? So let me look this up real quick. There's a guy on the Chargers who his tweets are awesome. Here, let me find him. Some of you guys are probably I'm sure you guys are already yelling his name at me in the chat. You guys are like, Ron, come on, man. Justin Jackson. I'm sure a bunch of you already put it in the chat. You're just like, Ron. Justin Jackson. He plays for the Chargers. I don't really watch the NFL anymore, so I don't even really know what his position is. But he's awesome on Twitter. We follow each other. His tweets are fantastic. So I guess I don't really. I mean, I grew up in Pittsburgh, so Steelers have always been my team. But in recent years, I don't know. I just stopped. And honestly, I stopped paying attention to the NFL like before all of the stuff with Kaepernick happened. So I can't even take a moral stand on it. Like, I can't be like, well, yeah, I took a moral stand. And it's like, no, I lost interest in the NFL before all that because they keep like neutering the game. Like, I love the sport of American football. It's a beautiful game. I love that game to death. But when you don't know what a catch is, that's what I tuned out. Whenever they would just go and they would just deliberate for what felt like hours about whether, and it wasn't just like both feet in bounds. It was like, did they have possession to the ground? Did the ground help it? Because it's allowed to hit the ground, but only so much. And only, it's so ridiculous. And they changed the rule every freaking year. Once it got to the point where it's like, we don't know what to catch it. I was like, this isn't fun anymore. This is just not fun. We are about a year away. Have they gotten to the point where NFL teams just draft attorneys and they're like, oh, we're not sure if it's a catch or not. Then the attorney runs out there. They get a pat on the butt from the coach and they go and they negotiate. They look up the rule books and they're going back and forth. If we're not at that point, we're close to it. And that's why I just can't get into the NFL. So I guess, oh, wait a second. My editor is texting me right now. Edwin, apparently that's not true. Apparently that came from a parody account. My editor, Joe, is telling me that apparently the Jets thing came from a parody account. So X-Nay on the Jets-Nay. We don't know if that's been confirmed or not. We don't know if Kaepernick was actually signed to the... And Edwin, I'm sorry, but you're not getting your super chat back. I still get to keep it, even if you reported fake news. So that may or may not happen. Joe, my editor, is saying, which, by the way, follow him on Twitter, Joseph Cicada. Apparently that's a fake thing. That's not actually a thing. So, you know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't, you guys super chat me stuff about Kaepernick. It might not be legit. What are we going to do? But I know that Justin is, that guy's a legit guy and he is on the Chargers as far as I know. So, I guess as far as where I stand with the NFL, I'll just root for whatever team that guy's playing for. His tweets are amazing. He's a lefty and yeah, I like him a lot. So anyway, I'll root for whatever team that guy's on. But and hopefully I'll get him on the show. I feel activist athletes should qualify for Sounds of Revolution, right? I feel like I'll see if he wants to do the show. That'd be fun. And I'll be like, whatever team you're on, I'm rooting for them. Did you guys figure out a catch? Can you talk to the NFL? Can you talk to Goodell? Tell him to figure out what a catch is. Be like, dude, figure out a catch and stop screwing over Kaepernick. It's not cool. Figure out what a catch is. Would you? I don't know. Come on. Anyway, let's see here. Thank you very much for your super chat contribution. Blank Page, Jason, Darth, Edwin. Guys, if you are on stable ground financially and you are so able and interested, patreon.com/Ron Placone for Give What You Can level. You get all kinds of exclusive content. I do a private Zoom show for my patrons every week. I do a patrons only stream where I respond directly to the patrons. I do that every week. You can get all that and a ton of exclusive content, videos, stand-up, my album. You can just download my album, all for a Give What You Can level. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. Even $1 a month goes a long way. You help keep the show on the air. I know we're on tough times, so if you can't swing something like that right now, don't worry about it. It's okay. But if you can and you're interested, that'd be great. Even $1 a month goes a long way. Again, if you're on stable ground and you can. I understand a lot of us can't right now. That's totally cool. I get it. It's rough. It's rough. We're all losing work. A lot of us don't have work. It's rough. And it's killing me not to be able to tour. It is killing me. It is breaking my heart. So, speaking of which, we got these Zoom shows. These Zoom shows are a lot of fun. It's not the same as being physically present. Oh, I need a water. Excuse me, I need a little bit of water. It's not the same as being there, but it's a lot of fun. So if you're interested, this Saturday, Graham Elwood and I are doing another Zoom show. Those have been a lot of fun. And you can get those tickets over on my website, ronplacone.com. Darth, you're back. Darth Buzzkill. Darth Buzzkill equals World of Tanks username. Okay. I'm not sure I know what that means exactly. What is World of Tanks? I don't know what that is. But man, you're really unmasking how unhip I am, Darth. Unmasking, huh? Pun intended. Ron, Christie single-handedly derailed Marco Rubio's campaign when he pointed out how he kept repeating his canned response. That was the end of the train. Yeah, I know. No, that was a very funny moment. I mean, that entire 2016 GOP primary was beyond hilarious. I mean, they all just kept dunking on each other. And then, yeah. Anyway. All right, guys. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Darth. Thank you very much, Edwin. Thank you very much, Jason. Thank you very much, Blank Page. We'll be back tomorrow. You know, we come back a lot. I mean, this is what we have right now. We're all quarantined. But I hope you'll consider joining us on Saturday for the Zoom show. It's going to be fun. Tickets are just $5. You can find them at ronplacone.com. Oh, and by the way, real quick announcement. I know I got to say this too. For those of you who have tickets to our shows on the road, we're working on it. Do not worry. You will either get a refund or when we reschedule the date, your tickets will be good. You don't have to worry about getting left out. It's not going to happen. So if you can make if you can make the rescheduled date, which we're working on rescheduling our dates now, it's tough because we don't know exactly when this is going to end. But we're just going to guess and we're going to hope for the best. So if you can make the rescheduled date, your tickets will still be good. If you can't make the rescheduled date, you will get a refund. It will take a minute because all the ticketing companies, the one we use is Brown Paper Tickets, they're all dealing with the same situation and it's a big mess. So your refunds will be issued. Your tickets will be good for the rescheduled date, whatever you need, it will be accommodated. It might take a minute, but just everyone's working the best they can. Everyone is working the absolute best they can. So, just do not worry. It will be made whole. Huh? All right. Kate, what's up? Good to hear from you. Rent strike guy in Oregon, Joshua Collins, running for Congress. Tweet ticket link ? Trump wants to start moon mining. Love your cheeriness. Rent strike guy in Josh Collins running for Congress. Okay, I'm not familiar with the rent strike guy in Oregon. Joshua Collins, I am familiar with. He's been on this show. I don't know if you meant that's the same person, but Joshua Collins is running in Washington State, not Oregon. So I'm assuming you're talking about two different people. Unless you thought Josh was in Oregon, he's not. He's in Washington. But I think he's right at the borderline, Kate. So I'm sure that's a common mistake. If I'm not mistaken, he's in Olympia because we talked about it when I had him on the show. Which Olympia is a really cool college town, a little bit south of Seattle, and it's where K Records started, and it's where a little band called Nirvana got started. In case you were curious. Huh? But love your cheeriness. Thank you for Kate. Thank you for that, Kate. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Darth. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you, Darth again. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, blank page. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll be back often. I'll be back tomorrow. The regular Get Your News On with Ron happens Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We were a half hour later today because I had some things I had to take care of this morning. But we're definitely getting to it. And yeah, sorry we were a little later, but normally we are 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We'll be back often. Zoom show Saturday, ronplacone.com for tickets. And of course, I will be tweeting out the link as well. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.